Hello and welcome to the webinar for the OEKO-TEX new regulations of 2022. My name is Jonathan Verley and I am the product manager for the Eco Passport, and I will be holding this English version of the webinar today for you. Over the course of this webinar, I'm going to talk about the different labeling and certification types that we have and the different new updates and regulations that have happened in 2022. Any questions that you have, you can direct to info@oekotex.com via email. To start things off, I would like to talk about Made in Green first and any updates that are concerning Made in Green. So first of all, we have changed some things in the standard. So there are no more annual supplier reconfirmation. The article number shall be specified, which was now defined in chapter 4.3.3. In the subchapter 4.3.3.2, the term recycled or organic shall only be used in the article name and or description of Made in Green label product if the article is covered in a standard 100 recycled materials or organic cotton certificate. And another sentence has been added to inform about control testing in chapter 5.3. Other than that, we have also changed some things in the My OEKO-TEX platform. We have added a linkage between articles, labels, and component requests. We have reworked that whole thing. Article and component numbers shall be specified to further facilitate navigation. And we have added an archive function for articles, labels, and for suppliers. Additionally, we have added different tooltips throughout the whole My OEKO-TEX platform for better understanding. Then lastly, for Made in Green, we have also updated the fact sheet, and it can be downloaded on our website in English, German, and Chinese. So now let's move on to standard 100 by OEKO-TEX. Here, the changes are mainly regarded our restricted substances. What have we added? What kind of new substances have we added, and what have we put under observation? So we have added 3 process preservatives under observation for the standard 100, specifically OIT, CMC, and 1,3-benzotiazole 2,2-butyl sulfonyl methyl thioxynate. And these substances were included because they had already been included in leather standard and the Eco Passport, and we're now conducting a risk assessment and the relevance in the textile industry for these 3 process preservatives. And next are changes for the RSL that are for the standard 100 and the leather standard. Some of them are also for STEP and Eco Passport. We will talk about those later as well during the STEP and Eco Passport portion of the webinar. Firstly, we have added bisphenol B with a limit value of 1,000 milligrams per kilograms, since the substance was identified to be endocrine disrupting, and it is listed in the ECHA SVHC list. We have added this to standard 100, leather, and STEP, as well as we will see later for Eco Passport. And maybe important to know is that all of these changes that I will be talking about, they have been added to the standard document of the leather standard and standard 100, and they will come into effect on the 1st of April of 2022. Next, we have colorants with more than 0.1% Michler's ketone or base. You can see it's these 2 colorants, which we have added with a limit value of 1,000 milligrams per kilogram to the leather standard 100 and STEP. This because the Michler's ketone / base is carcinogenic and suspected to be mutagenic as well, and has been added to the ECHA SVHC list. So those are the substances we added to our RSL list, and we have some more that were added for under observation for both leather standard and standard 100. These include MIT, which is a skin sensitizing substance, bisphenol F and S, which are likely toxic for reproduction and endocrine disrupting, and will therefore probably be included. ECHA and German authorities are evaluating potential regulations right now. And we also added bisphenol AF under observation to make our own risk assessment and to be in alignment with the AFFIRM list. So again, these substances were added, first of all, they were added under chemical residues, and in the standard version of the standard 100 and the leather standard. And again, those can be found on our website, and these changes will go into effect on the 1st of April. And the last two substances that were added under observation are 2-MBT, which acts sensitizing and will be included as well in the process preservatives as under observation. And the last one is this first Red 60, which is in discussion by Swedish authorities, and we wanted to make our own risk assessment and see what the relevance is in the textile industry for this colorant. Now, we also added dispersed blue 60 in some of the documents published on January 10th. These have since been changed. This was a mistake. We have taken dispersed blue 60 out of all documents, as you will see on our website. So do not think that they are under observation in any way, either for the standard 100, leather standard, or eco passport. And I think that's it for standard 100 and the leather standard. So let's move on to STEP, which has a very exciting new tool, which is the impact calculator that measures the carbon and water footprint. So as you can see on the left here is a kind of a guideline how it would work. And what we did is we implemented this tool for STEP customers, which can use this carbon footprint and water impact calculator tool since the 10th of January by logging into their OEKO-TEX profile in the STEP assessment. The tool can be accessed by STEP customer only, and OEKO-TEX will evaluate the future option to offer the tool to customers that are not STEP certified. And from the 1st of April, the tool can also be reached through the customer-specific assessment version. Next, about the communication of this new tool. First of all, we have a 3-pager document on our website, as well as a video, which is can be shared with customers. And it can be found on our website under the following link. There is also a webinar that will promote the launch in 2022, actually in February 8th. And you can register either via our website or LinkedIn. Hear a little bit about the timeline of the whole project. So we had our beta testing at the end of last year with 25 users who were really helpful in improving the tool and seeing what we had to change and update. And so we were able to launch it right now since the 10th of January. And it is now in our use phase for the entire year. So we are really looking forward to your feedback from both the customers and our own institute, which are crucial in order to further develop the tool. And in the end of 2022, we will create a new roadmap for further development together with our partner Quantis and our own STEP working group. Next, let's talk about the compliance and harmonization with other standards by STEP. Firstly, we have new limit values for wastewater testing. So what's been done here is that to ease the process for our customers and work towards an industry alignment, we successfully updated the limits for wastewater testing in collaboration with VDHC. Some of the limit values for facilities with direct discharge are getting a bit more stringent, and the transition period to fulfill these new limits will be until 2023. Now, STEP customer will receive a token from ZDHC to enter in the ZDHC Gateway, which is their online platform, and there will also get acknowledged on the foundational level of the ZDHC supplier to zero program. Also for wastewater sampling points, again, to ease the process, we successfully updated the sampling points for wastewater testing in collaboration with ZDHC. So sampling points are now defined in the STEP standard under these two chapters and aligned with the requirements of ZDHC. The sampling points for facilities with direct and indirect discharge will be different and are aligned with ZDHC now. So, but the testing parameters will still remain the same. And we have also changed some things in the MRSL. First of all, as discussed before, Michler's colorants with Michler's ketone and base more than 1%, 0.1%, were added to the MRSL. So for solvent violet 8 and solvent blue 4, no testing will be required for wastewater under STEP, but for basic violet 3, testing is required. Then there has been some other changes. First of all, EDTA. Here we just added more CAS numbers to our RSL list, since the CAS number 60004 wasn't the only one. So we now have a various in the RSL because there are just more CAS numbers that can be representative of EDTA. Then also we have added bisphenol B, as discussed before. This was added to the SVHC list in ECHA, which is why it has also been added to the STEP MRSL. And there has been a footnote that has been added in for titanium dioxide, which is for particles of respirable size. We have now defined what particles of respirable size means. So particles of respirable size are prevalent if more than 1 weight % of particles within the powder have a size of less than 10 micrometers. This, by the way, this footnote has also been added to titanium dioxide and carbon black, and I think some others for the ECO passport. And we have our last is just the update of the STEP assessment, where we really wanted to make a holistic review of the STEP questionnaire and ease the process for our STEP customer who are filling out the assessment, so that we can enable smaller companies to achieve certification in a more targeted manner. And what we did is we removed redundant questions from the STEP questionnaire, which had a special focus on special STEP modules. So we now focus on questions, topics that are really relevant for the specific processes of the manufacturing facility. And we were really able to reduce up to 25% of specific process categories. Additionally, we also added 6 new questions, which are covering carbon disulfide and its emission, some questions regarding the buying guide and the open apparel registry, and questions for the equivalent of environmental impact analysis introduced for energy. That's it for STEP. So let's move on to our last certificate that we have for ECO Passport. I shouldn't say the last one because we will be introducing a new certificate, which you will see later. But for the ECO Passport, the changes are very similar to Standard 100 and leather. First of all, bisphenol B and the colorants with more than 0.1% Michler's ketone and base were added with a limit value of 1,000 milligrams per kilogram. And again, these were added due to the addition in the SVHC list. Next, we have a change that is EcoPassport specific, where TMPP with 0.1 weight % of 4-nonylphenol has been added to Annex 6 of the EcoPassport under other chemical residues. This was done because this substance had already been added to the Standard 100 and leather standard last year, and we want to stay as synergistic as possible with our standards, so that if someone has a EcoPassport certified chemical, they would be able to get certified for standard 100 or leather if that chemical was added to a textile. Next, we have substances that are under observation. These are the same that we saw before. Those are these 3 bisphenols that were added, as well as the process preservative MIT. And again, we have the colorants, this red 60. Again, this first blue 60 was not added. This was a mistake in the publication of the 10th of January. Please disregard those. We have changed the documents since then. And we have also added under chemical residues for under observation 2 MBT. Now, all of these changes will come into effect on the 1st of April 2022 again, and you can already find these documents on our website. In the standard for EcoPassport and the standard for STEP, Standard 100, and leather standard. So that's something really exciting. Oh, sorry, not yet. we have one more change, which is DECA BDE. Here we just change the threshold in the EcoPassport from 50 down to 10 milligrams per kilogram. This was an oversight because all the other BDEs from tetra to hepta already have that threshold. So it should have been changed earlier and was done so this year. And also this will come into effect on the 1st of April 2022. So now let's go to our new certification for responsible businesses. So there will be a new due diligence legislation on EU level, as well as an upcoming German Supply Chain Act, which will start in the beginning of 2023, which requires business enterprises to take legal responsibility for any human rights and environmental violations in their global supply chains. So what we are doing at OEKO-TEX is we are offering a certification for brands, brand groups, retailers, and traders for Standard 100, and I think also leather, that confirms third-party proven implementation of human rights and environmental due diligence as demanded by legislations throughout their global textile and leather supply chains. This will enable business enterprises to publicly communicate and report the third-party checked measures they have taken. So what are the requirements for the enterprises? What are the requirements to receive this certification? First of all, embedding responsible business practices into business enterprise policy and into management systems. Then really important is the mapping of your own supply chain. This is key for all further needed due diligence activities. And this will be done via the help of the My OEKO-TEX mapping tool. After we have this kind of mapping, we can identify risks and prioritize them. We will be able to integrate appropriate action and measures to avoid potential risks and to remedy actual adverse impacts. And then through continuous monitoring of set measures and adjustment, we can make adjustments where necessary. Also important are publicly available communication to all stakeholders on the due diligence process, including the risk analysis, complaints, and taking measures to address potential and actual adverse impacts. And then lastly, also there is needed an implementation of an own grievance mechanism or the cooperation with an external grievance mechanism. So our solution here, based on the following suite of documents, and in addition to the support provided by the institutes, OEKO-TEX supports the certification process of, we have the standard, and then the self-assessment tool, the implementation of this manual, and if the steps are cleared, you will receive this certificate. Now, this certificate is not, as most of other OEKO-TEX certificate, a product-specific certificate or a manufacturing facility-specific certificate. It's really for your own responsible business practices throughout your supply chain, which is why you will not be able to really link it to any of your own products, which you can see here in option B, but you will receive the certification and the label, and you can communicate this through your business communication. However, if you also have a Made in Green label, you will be able to show your responsible business certification through the product level on the Made in Green, on your Made in Green labeled products, through their hang tags and QR codes. And here also a little bit of a timeline. So we started at the end of 2021. We drafted a standard for this certificate, and also we produced the assessment. We are now in the pilot phase for this certification, and we plan to go to market in the middle of this year, so that we have some time until in the beginning of 2023, the German supply chain legislation will come into effect. And for any preliminary inquiries and information that you might have, please get in contact with your institute or at info@oekotex.com. Additionally, if you have any other questions regarding this webinar, please also direct them at info@oekotex.com. And last but not least, a quick update about our versions of the standard documents. So in the previous years, we always just added the new standard for all of our certifications and deleted the old one. But since the standards will be in effect, the old standards will be in effect until 1st of April 2023, we will still have them available under downloads. So you can find the new version of 2022 and the latest valid version of 2021 under downloads on our website. Thank you very much for attending, and I wish all of you a very pleasant week and start of 2022. Goodbye.